Voilà, donc bienvenue à notre appel. On est le 18 décembre et quoi de mieux que de finir l'année, ou presque, avec une invitée comme Ruth. Honnêtement, je pense que ça va juste nous faire du bien aussi. On s'aime entre nous, les coachs, mais je pense que d'avoir une super belle coach comme Ruth ce soir, ça va juste nous motiver. Puis en plus, le sujet de son appel ce soir, c'est vraiment de comment crasher 2018. Fait que je pense juste pour partir avant les fêtes et tout ça, je me suis dit que ça allait être un bon sujet pour nous motiver pour la nouvelle année. En plus, avec tout ce qui se passe en ce moment avec HID et tout ça, je sais pas pour vous, moi, ça bouge de mon côté. Puis ça fait du bien. On dirait qu'on était rendu là. Ça faisait comme 2 mois là, que c'était plus tranquille. Fait que de voir tout ça, ça me motive. Et je ne sais pas si vous connaissez Ruth. Moi, c'est quand même une coach qui est devenue coach en même temps que moi. Donc, je la connais un peu à cause de ça. On a commencé en même temps à l'été 2014. Par contre, j'ai vraiment appris à la connaître un peu plus depuis la Leadership Retreat qu'on a eu à Las Vegas, où elle a fait un speech, en fait, elle a fait une présentation sur la vision, sur son équipe, sur comment créer une vision d'équipe, comment créer des diamants dans nos équipes, une culture. Comment créer une culture, finalement, selon nos visions qu'on inculque à nous et aussi à nos teams. Puis, ce soir, elle va vraiment nous parler un petit peu de ça aussi et de comment elle abordera 2018. Donc, je pense que ça va être super motivant. Et Ruth, elle est Superstar Diamond Coach. Alors, c'est 15 stars Diamond. C'est vraiment super impressionnant. Puis, je sais, elle doit en avoir plus que ça, des Diamonds dans son équipe. Elle est aussi 2 fois Elite Coach, peut-être 3. Are you a 3-time Elite? Can you say that or?
I will be in January. Yes, ma'am.
Donc, elle va être 3 fois élite. Elle est 4e présentement dans toute la compagnie. 4e sur toute la compagnie. Puis, en fait, c'est ça. Elle est coach depuis l'été 2014. Alors, je vais lui laisser le plancher. Je pense qu'on a hâte de l'entendre. Ruth, the floor is yours. And you will try to understand my English tonight. I'm pretty good, but I don't have the accent. So I think you will be better than me in English. So I'll let you the floor.
Well, thank you. Is everyone on here from Canada?
Yes.
Really? Cool. Canada is always like leading the way in every team cup. It is like...
Yes, it is.
all Canadian coaches.
We got that.
One of my Canadian coaches the other day brought up price, how the Canadian price point's higher, and she had brought that up, and she said it makes it harder to sell, and I was like, it does not appear that way during Team Cup months. It does not appear to be an issue in Canada to sell some challenge packs because you guys dominate up there. So, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm going to kind of share a little bit of my story and where I come from. If you guys will chat in how long you've been a coach, just so I kind of know the audience I am talking to in regards to like how long you guys have been in this business. And while you do that, I will kind of tell you a little bit about me. So I started coaching in 2014. And before this, I had done Insanity. Actually, I had burned copies of Insanity. And I loved it. I never followed the nutrition plan. I basically just like starved myself and did Insanity to get ready for my wedding. And I looked great, but I couldn't maintain that. So after my wedding, I just gained all the weight back. And that was in 2010. That was way before I was a coach. And I actually remember getting online and signing up to get a free Beachbody coach in 2010, 2011. And I always think like, what would have happened if my free coach would have reached out to me? My free coach never reached out to me in 2010, 2011. I think I even like sent him an email because I just wanted to look, good for my wedding. That was in 2010. I gained the weight back, and for the next 4 years until I found Beachbody, I fluctuated in my weight loss journey, if you will. And I wouldn't say I came into this because I was overweight or anything like that, but I came into this because I didn't know how to eat, and I was really, really, really tired. And I was just tired of feeling blah about my body all the time. So I actually got out my Insanity DVDs in 2014, and I started doing those. And after about a month of doing those and eating healthy, I thought I was trying to eat a more sustainable diet as opposed to just like starving myself like I had in the past, because I wanted to maintain my weight this time around. So I thought I was doing the right things to eat healthy, and I didn't see my body change that much in the 30 days, which is so funny because now my body would change rapidly. So I got online, I started looking for new programs, and I heard Shaun T had a new T25, and I started Googling T25, and in that Google process, I also came around 21 Day Fix. And I'll kind of tell you how this came to be with coaching. I was all over top coaches' websites. I mean, top 10 coaches' websites, looking at transformation photos, all over it. I was 100% blind to everything that they put out there on their website. I was 100% looking at pictures of bodies for transformations. And I was looking specifically, I was looking for a girl who had my before photo. And so it makes me laugh because during this process, I never even saw coaching for like 2 weeks while I was Googling all this stuff. And what happened is I was searching 21 Day Fix result hashtags on Instagram. In that, I found a girl who, she had my story. She had my before body. I wanted her after body, and I reached out to her. I filled out her form online for her challenge group, and she responded on Facebook once I sent her a friend request, and she said to me, she just said hi to me, and I was like, hey, did you get my application? Like, I want to be in your online fitness group. Or I said, did you get my application for the fitness stuff? And she said, oh, you want to be a coach? Was her response. And I said, absolutely not. I don't want to be a coach. I was like, no, I said to her, I need a coach. I don't want to be a coach. I need you to coach me because I want your after body, and I don't know how to do that. And after I told her no, she didn't respond for a few days. She didn't respond for like 7 days. And so in that process, I was like, hello, I'm ready to get going. I actually ordered 21 Day Fix on beachbody.com without Shakeology. So, and I got the payment plan with it. And for some reason, in between me getting that, I found my coach Jessica's YouTube video on the coach business opportunity. And the video was just so normal. I always tell this story because I think sometimes we look at top coaches or coaches in this who have it kind of the picture perfect, right? And I think there's nothing wrong with being raw and unperfect in this business, because I would have never enrolled with a coach who is sitting in a pretty office like I have behind me making a video. I would have never enrolled with that type of person. I would have thought it was fake. But my coach was in her backyard with her selfie video camera, big old ponytail, and just this uncut video about how she earned like $13,000 in 1 week with Beachbody. And I was like, what? Like, excuse me? And this was literally in between 7 days of this other coach not answering me. And I saw that video. I really connected with Jessica, my coach's vibe and story. And I emailed her that night, and I enrolled that night. And she told me, you need to get a challenge pack. So I sent back my Beachbody kit, and I got the entire challenge pack. And I said, I'm going all in. And by that evening, I had written up a business plan for my business. So I tell you all of that because I think there's a few huge lessons to learn in that. People will only find what they're looking for most of the time. It just blows my mind. I was on the top coaches' websites, and I had no idea. I didn't see it. And it took this one video just popping out to me. I don't know why. That just pulled me right in. Additionally, I was brought into all this because of hashtags on Instagram. And that's the one thing I never forget is I was just looking for hashtags. And so the power of a hashtag can go a really long way. Hopefully that's still the case with Instagram. It changes a little bit. It's changing lately. But hopefully the power of the hashtag will continue to be used in such a manner. And then perfection. You don't need it. You don't need it. And it's not necessary. And I think sometimes as coaches, once we get going in this business, we start looking to those people, and I may have been guilty of this myself, of trying to present more of a professional or polished look. And it's not necessary. It isn't necessary to have a successful business. You don't need to have the perfect lighting or the perfect filter or the perfect hair or the perfect backdrop to make a powerful, impactful video or post on social media. You just need to share your real life, and it's going to connect with who it needs to connect with. So 3.5, 2, 1. All right, cool. So I'm going to just kind of share a little bit about how I started in this business. From the beginning, my business has grown very rapidly. I'm going to share a little bit about why and just go through those steps. And I want you guys to evaluate, especially some of you newer coaches, about how you treat this. First, I want to start off saying when I did come into this business, I was super skeptical, like 100% for the first 6 weeks. I was like, there's no way that this is going to work. And at that time in my life, I was in a really bad spot financially, emotionally. My marriage was crumbling under financial stress. We had $245,000 of student loan debt. In 2014, we were living paycheck to paycheck. We would go on spending freezes. I would kick my husband under the table if we were eating at dinner and he ordered like an appetizer or something, because I was just thinking like, how can we pay for this? And so I came into this because I was going to spend money. I had already spent money actually on a credit card to get my fitness program. And then I saw this video and I thought maybe I could earn $500 a month as a coach. I never, ever, ever, ever dreamed I'd be sitting here with a completely different life 3.5 years later. But I thought to myself, if I'm going to do this, I might as well see what can happen. With my husband's career, we kept moving every 2 or 3 years. And so when I joined in Beachbody, I knew that we would probably move in 2 years. And that means that my job, because I came in as a online trainer, basically, I was making online trainings. My job was going to change in 2 years. And I thought, well, what if I work at night on my Beachbody business for 2 solid years? And then maybe, just maybe at the end of that, the next time we move, like maybe if I got really super lucky, I wouldn't have to get another full-time job. So that was kind of my goal. First, it was like $500 a month so I could stop living paycheck to paycheck. And then it was like, maybe I would get really lucky. And I really thought this luck was like a thought that I had in the beginning. I didn't realize that it was all about hard work, but I thought maybe I'd get super lucky and be able to turn this into a full-time income producing job. And I thought if I wanted to do that, if I was serious about in 2 years producing, to me it was $50,000 a year. That's what I wanted to earn, $50,000 a year. How did I have to treat this business? What did I have to do? And I sat down and I started thinking of it as a business from the very beginning, because I knew it wasn't going to produce $50,000 a year unless I treated it as such, unless I treated it like it could do that. And I'll never forget those first conversations I had with my friends and family, because I was terrified. I was like, are they going to think it's a joke? Are they going to think I'm just like trying to earn money from them? Are they going to think it's just like a shake company? And I was so scared. And I was talking to my best girlfriend, and she said to me, I'll never forget it. She said, Ruth, if you're going to do this, treat it like a business. Take pride in it and treat it like a business. And I'll never forget that, because it changed how I thought about it. And it told me that like my friends supported me, but they also wanted to see me take it seriously and not just show up sometimes when it was fun and like be there sometimes and be one of those people who wasn't actually putting anything into it and just expecting something, but they wanted to see me take pride in it and treat it like the business that it could become. And so I wrote out an entire like business startup plan, and maybe let me find it. I'll show it to you guys. Because I think this is a big piece of my mindset in the very beginning. And I need you guys to know though, that when I show you this, I was like really, really, really scared. I was really scared about what everybody would think about me. I came into this without confidence. I came into this truly thinking like, all through college, I was in a sorority, and I always thought I was like the black sheep of my sorority house. I never thought I was pretty enough or smart enough or good enough. I always just felt like I was kind of like, I squeaked into that like accidentally, and I wasn't cool enough to be, you know, in my friend circle. And I always like thought really, I just had you would never know it, but I just had such walls up about myself in regards to my worth as a human being and my value. And I'd compare myself to other women. And when I did that, I never felt like I was enough. So then on top of that now, you know, I'm starting this multi-level marketing business. And I just kept thinking like, what are my friends going to think? Like, oh my gosh, they're all going to laugh at me. What are my friends going to think? And I also didn't know if I believed that it could turn into anything. And I kept seeing this image, the one that says coaches change lives, on like my team's page. And I was like, there's no way, like we don't actually change lives. It's like just about money making. All of these people are just full of it. And I just didn't believe any of it. And I tell you all that because I think it's super easy to assume that I just came in with this, you know, huge self-confidence and like all this belief and all of these things, but that's really not how it was. And so you might be saying, well, if I came in with all these doubts, why did I even do it? Why did I do all this scary stuff? And honestly, it was because I needed my life to change. In 2014, when I looked into the future, the future is my biggest fear. Because I saw Ben and I having kids and we couldn't afford kids. And I saw the debt just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I truly saw like, I thought if we have kids, we're going to end up in a divorce because the stress is only going to compound. The financial issues are only going to compound. Ben, at the time, Ben is a veterinarian, and he's an equine surgeon, and that field is very, very, very demanding if you work a typical on-call full-time job. And I thought, so we're going to be broke. I'm going to have to move again and change my career again. We're already not where we need to be with each other, like on a good place. And then we're going to add kids on top of it. And then Ben's going to be absent from that. So I'm going to be a single wife mom who's broke. And I was like, that's what I pictured. And then I just pictured divorce. And honestly, that's where I was. And in my mind, I thought, if I don't do anything, my world isn't going to change. It's just going to get worse. And all the fear and all the doubt and all of it, anytime I didn't want to work because I was tired from working my full-time job, anytime I didn't want to post on social media, I did not post on social media before Beachbody. I went back and counted. I posted 3 times in that first half of the year before Beachbody, 3 times, and 2 of them were profile picture changes. So I pretty much posted once. I didn't ever post on social media. And so people come in, you know, almost every coach that enrolls with me says, I'm scared to put myself out there. It's like the first thing I hear. Well, so was I. So am I still to this day. There are absolutely so many times when I just have to force myself to share my story or to put out there what I need to put out there. And so I had that huge why. And that's what pushed me in the beginning. And I didn't think Beachbody would change my life the way it has, but I thought maybe I could stop fighting with my husband about money. And that would have been enough. And so I came into this and let me find this really quick. I made a business plan and I'm going to show it to you. Hold on. And it's so funny because sometimes I think I was a better coach when I look at this than I am now. I'm like, I need to do this. Where is my business plan for this month? But I think the thing is when you come in, all you have to worry about is yourself. And that's a really cool thing. It's just growing and becoming the best you possible. So this must have been the first week that I was a coach. Can you guys see my screen? It's a Google file right now. And let me scroll down here. Yeah, it was because I had watched the first new coach training. I'm sure that you guys have a new coach training as well. And it talks about your coming out post. And I was like, okay, like, what am I going to say in mine? And so it was just like my journey. I just started saying like, okay, what got me to this place? And all of my coaches, they all overthink it to this day. They think that they have to tell someone else's story, or they think they have to make it something. And all you have to do is share your story. Why'd you come into Beachbody? If you were just talking to your best friend over a glass of wine and she said, why'd you join Beachbody? Why'd you join Beachbody? Don't think about it as a post. Don't think about it as something you're trying to get someone to join you. Just share your story. And that's where the power of posting is going to reveal itself, is when you're being authentic and real and not trying to be like, you're doing it wrong if you think like, what can I post today to get someone to join my challenge group? That's like the worst way to think about it. And it's the best way to overcomplicate it. And I'm guilty of this. And I have to wipe it out of my head and be like, Ruth, just like share your real story. Like, how do you feel today about your health and fitness? Share that. So I came in, and I just like started writing and typing and saying, okay, if this is a business, what do I have to do? And remember how I told you guys I was all over top coaches' websites, and then I was all over Instagram hashtags, and I was all over then my coach's YouTube? All I thought to myself is, what were those people doing that maybe I needed to do? But the first thing I'm going to say is, don't create a website. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. If anyone is new on here, that is not the takeaway. Please don't go make a website. I barely utilize my website. And Bonnie Engel didn't have a website until 2 months ago. So you don't need a website, by the way. But I just started thinking okay, what do I need to do? And so I just started thinking what is common objections towards health and fitness? And instead of blog posts, this should be post on my page, because that's where it ended up going. But it was just my life, what was I going through, and what advice could I give people based upon my life? And so for me, I always use a mirror when I work out, or I used to at the time, because I would check my form, breathe heavy. I always breathe really heavy when I work out to make sure I'm getting oxygen to my muscles. And I just went through what do I do that helps me in my workouts, set goals for each interval. So this isn't because I'm a health and fitness expert. I was just thinking okay, what am I doing in my workouts that's helping me? All of you have these things that you do, or hopefully you should, because you should always be trying to get better in your workout. So just ask yourself, how do you make it through a minute of 21-day fix, or 21-day fix extreme, or hammer and chisel, or whatever workout program? How do you make it through when it's hard? There's a post for you. Super easy. And so I just started writing all that down. And then I started thinking about my How to Hit Success Club every month from the very beginning, because I wanted that summit ticket. And I didn't do this on a whim. I did this on purpose. And so Leroy is my hometown. So I had decided Leroy was going to be my first market, which I was terrified of, by the way. It's very small, 500 people. I'm from a very, very small town, 500 people. So I was okay, Leroy, and I just started thinking about all the people there. I had a homeowners association at the time in my neighborhood, and I decided that they would be my other market. And then my other market was my sorority girls, which were the scariest people that I never wanted to talk to, that I didn't feel good enough. I put it down on paper that I was going to contact them. I'm going to go more into that. Where I worked at the time was another market, and I started listing out names there, as you can see. This was probably in like I said, my first week of coaching. My previous place of employment, I just started listing out names of who might want to get healthy. And I think sometimes we go to the coach basics, or we see it and we don't actually do it. We don't take it seriously. We don't make a list. We kind of just think, I'll make a list later. I didn't wait till later. I didn't say when I have time. I didn't say when I was more energized, when I was motivated. I didn't say anything. I said now, and I just started doing it. And I didn't worry about if it was perfect or anything. I just got it out on paper so then I could come back to it. Then from there, I want to tell you guys something really important. When I first opened my business, the first two markets I contacted are Leroy, this homeowner association, and my sorority. I must have invited at least 60 sorority sisters within that first month. 60. probably in the first 3 weeks. And that was my scariest market of all. If anybody ever intimidated me, if ever I felt insecure, inadequate, not enough, it was because I didn't think I was enough in regards to those women. I need to tell you why this is important, because I'm sure that all of you have maybe a market like this, or you thought maybe that you didn't compare to somebody in your life, or maybe you didn't compare to somebody on your social media who might be watching you. I would have never known that these women supported me, loved me, and trusted me had I not invited them. A lot of them didn't join me that month. A lot of them said no or didn't or ignored me. But 4 or 5 of them joined me out of that 60. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. Like 4 or 5 of them joined me. And like some of the people who responded that didn't join me right away, I didn't even think they liked me. I was like, I thought you hated me. I didn't even know that you liked me. And I showed myself through this that all of those things that I thought were just my insecurities, just my fears, that they didn't have any issues with me whatsoever. They didn't think I wasn't good enough. It was 100% my own head telling me that. My sorority market has been my biggest supporting market to date. The biggest market that I have is this group of women who I was so terrified of. So I challenge all of you to think about who your scary market is and reach out to them if you haven't yet. And if you have, follow up with them if they said no, and continue going back and continue showing them on your social media and through your own journey what you have to offer them. The other thing, this homeowners association, in my first so I didn't know a lot of people in this homeowners association. Do you guys know what a homeowners association is? Okay. So like in the US, our neighborhoods have Facebook communities. Okay. So like we're part of a neighborhood. All of the people who live in the neighborhood are homeowners, and they have a homeowners association. And in the US, it's kind of like a joke that they're like horrible places. Like the Facebook group of a homeowners association is like where you go if your soul wants to die. Like they're not nice. It's usually people bickering and being like, hey, someone hasn't mowed their lawn, or someone's driving too fast, or I saw someone not pick up their dog's poop in the neighborhood. They're not very friendly places. But I didn't know anyone in there. So I was like, well, I don't know anybody. So like, I'll just make this post. And so I put a post of me in there, and it was after my first 21 days, my transformation. And I like invited anyone who liked on it, and I invited anyone who commented on it. But I also have to tell you that then there was a few weeks later, a post made in the homeowners association completely attacking me, like 100%. Where this guy was relentless, and he just kept coming at me. Like it was a personal attack. He called Shakeology like snake oil, said that we were like trying to take advantage of people, like all of this stuff. And this was when I was a brand new coach, you guys. And you have to ask yourself, we're going to get rejected, and people are going to say stuff about us because they don't understand what we do. They don't understand what it's truly about. And you have to have that why, because here's some guy who is publicly bashing me, and he wouldn't stop. It was like over and over again. And I could have cared more about his opinions of my life than my marriage and quit Beachbody because I didn't have a reason. I wasn't successful. But had I said, this is too hard, I'm not going to coach, essentially, I'm caring more about that stranger's opinion of me than I care about my marriage, than I care about my future family. And you have to ask yourself, like, what do you care more about? What are you fighting for in this business? When people say no, when people don't understand, like, why are you going to keep coming back? Why are you going to keep working every day, even though someone tells you no, even though someone might bash you in a public forum? And you have to say to yourself, like, don't care more about someone else's opinion, which is essentially like caring more about your ego and how, like, your feelings than you do about the need that your family might have or the need that your marriage might have. the same thing happened. Honestly, it was July 14th, and it was the town that I lived in. I had two friends because we hadn't lived there very long. We'd lived there for a year, actually, exactly. I had two girlfriends, and I had told one of them all about Beachbody and how excited I was. She was pretty much the only person I'd confided in about like how pumped up I was. And on July 4th, we were at her house for the holiday, and she totally trashed Insanity, said it was a gimmick, said it was all fake, and there I am crying in the bathroom. And that was truly 2 or 3 weeks into coaching, crying in the bathroom because my friend is bashing what I have literally told her my hopes and dreams for this business, and she is telling me it's all fake. And again, I had no reason. The only people I had enrolled at that point were my husband and my mom and my sister to make Success Club. So I could have walked away. I had spent more money on Beachbody than I had earned. It didn't even make sense for me to stay. And so, you have to decide what's worth it. Am I friends with her now? We're Facebook friends. After that, our relationship wasn't really the same, to be honest with you, because I knew where I wanted my life to go, and I knew where, like, we talked and stuff, but it just wasn't, I couldn't trust her anymore. And
yeah, it's touching me that you're saying that, because I lived exactly the same thing just after winning the cup for the first time, and my friend was telling everybody that Beachbody was fake, and she was telling me that to my face when we were at the restaurant. So I just got up and go to the bathroom and start crying, and then I paid for her bill and just leave the restaurant because I could not take it, because we got it in our blood. So we love this company. We know it's good. We know it's a good company and it's not fake and the programs work. So it's hard when your friend's saying that to you, and I just can relate so much to it, and I'm not friends with her anymore. So she reached out to me, like, I think 2 times after this event, and I was like, I'm not leaving Beachbody. So if you cannot accept it, I just don't want to have you in my life. So, and it's okay for me. I just went through, but it was a friend of me for a long time. I think maybe 14 years. So it's hard because you have to trust what you're doing and have faith in what you want to reach out to. So it's touching. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, for me, it was like fuel. I was like, I had nothing.
I'm going to show you.
Yeah, I'm going to show you. And I do always think, like, I just wonder what she thinks, like everything I told her. I remember sitting at dinner, and it's so funny. I look back and I feel so silly, but I was like a little kid when I found out the potential of this business. And I was like, she was one of the only people I confided in regards to like what Jessica had done. And I was like, yeah, my coach like made, $300,000 last year. And like now, like, I just wonder what she thinks. Cause I know she's like, that's never going to be you. You can't do that. Like, and so I always wonder, I'm like, how do you like me now? Like,
does she know?
I bet if she ever looks at my post, she's got to know, because my husband doesn't work full time anymore. So she knows. But I think that is, you could see here, like, how I came in thinking about this. And it wasn't because necessarily I don't have a business background. I don't have a fitness background, anything like that. And I hated social media, but I had a desire to change. And I think so often what happens and what I see is so many people just take the training and they never apply it. They never just do it. They never just send the messages. And I was thinking about this the other day because I was, I'm reviewing my new coach basics and how I want to change it, especially after leadership and going through it. And I was trying to simplify it for my coaches. And I'm sure maybe you've said, I don't have time. I've said I don't have time about many of things before in regards to coaching. But at the very end of the day, guys, this comes down to, we call it a power hour. Do you guys call it a power hour? A power hour. And I went live and I did a power hour with a group of people the other day, and it took 50 minutes to do the power hour. And in that time, I invited 6 people. I followed up with another 7 or 8. I formed new connections with 5 to 10 on Instagram and Facebook. It is 1 hour a day. And I was trying to simplify my coaches' trackers for them. And then I just realized, like, what am I doing? Like, I'm trying to simplify something that is already so simple. I was like literally trying to make it even more simple. And I was like, this is ridiculous, because if you're doing the power hour, it is 50 minutes. It is 50 to 60 minutes. And you can even break it out into chunks of 20 minutes each. You can literally like form those connections as you are using the restroom really quick on your phone. Like, I have teachers on my team who tell me they do that all the time. And so you really have to ask yourself, like, what are you fighting for? Because once you realize your desire to change, your hopes and your dreams with this, or your goals with this business, and you have those set in stone, and you decide those things matter more than your homeowner association or your best friend who are going to tear you down. They matter more than your rejection. They matter more than your excuses of being tired or being busy. When you make it a priority, when you treat it like a business, and that doesn't mean you have to have a website and professional photos. I didn't have a website or professional photos. The photos I was putting up were actually horrible. Now that I look back, I'm like, what was that picture? It was all like crazy. But it didn't matter, because I was inviting behind the scenes. I was sending those 60 messages to my sorority sisters, and did almost all of them say no? Yeah. In the beginning, almost all of them said no, but 4 of them said yes. And that was enough for me to be like, okay, like, and that was only one subset of people that I invited that month. Trust me, I sent like so many messages that first month that I got told no. But so often we only see the success, and we don't see all the rejection behind the scenes. We don't see the struggle behind the scenes. And in the beginning, I think that struggle as a new coach is being told no, or having your friends tear you down, or believing that it's possible. And I just challenge you guys to take the belief of it off the table and do the things until you prove to yourself and show yourself you're capable of it. Because had I said, like, I'm going to do it when I believe it's possible, I would have never done it. I didn't believe any of this was possible for me back then. Anything that I've ever accomplished, I didn't actually believe that it was going to work. But I said, what I do is I set a goal, and then I do the daily behaviors that are non-negotiable for those goals. They are non-negotiable for those goals. So whether it is always sharing on social media, and it is always inviting, and then it changes, as your business changes, of helping your coaches hit Success Club and leading your team. But in the beginning, it's just those basic things. And even now for me, like my business, you guys, it doesn't grow unless I go out and invite and follow up with people. If you think for a second that I am making posts on social media and people are flocking to me, they are not. And it is definitely not like I make a post on social media and then I tell them about 80-day obsession and then they just like enroll. And it's like a very quick process. It takes me following up. I can't even tell you how many messages I sent last week that they haven't responded to me yet. And I have to follow up with them. And then when I follow up with them, they say, oh, I got busy, I'm sorry. Or they haven't answered me yet. But like, I still do the same thing all of my new coaches do. And if I don't, it doesn't happen. The first week of this month, I was like, or was that last month? What are we at? What month? I don't know what month it was. It was this month. Yeah. I was like a SC0 for like the first, I think, 7 days, which like I hadn't helped one person in those 7 days. And do you know why? It's because I wasn't inviting. I wasn't following up. I wasn't doing that work because I was sidetracked with team management and, getting stuff ready for my team. But like, my business has to come first always. Otherwise there is no team. There's no one to create stuff for. So just how we tell you guys to do Power Hour, it's just as vital for me to do Power Hour, and it doesn't ever change. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I have one.
Yeah.
Do you teach the mindset to your new coaches? Because I think that's something I want to introduce in my formation for my new coaches, because we talk about Success Club, getting into Emerald, but I think the mindset when like you're gonna go through this and you're gonna think about this and you're gonna want to quit. And do you think it's important for your new coaches to be aware of the mindset that they should have?
Yeah, I don't know if you would say like, I don't have like I would say like my mindset training comes probably from like me going live, right, in my team page, or like making posts on my team page about specific mindset things. There's a whole lot of soft training in that. Like on my new coach calls, when we kind of go through that first initial invite, I do absolutely tell them, I say, you're going to feel very weird when you say this, or I'll share with them, like, I'll never forget, it used to be called the 5-step invitation process. It's still what I use. But I'll never forget the first time I watched that video about the 5-step invitation process and learned that training. And I was like, this is insane. And that was the first time I ever called my coach. And I was like, you don't actually do this, do you? Because I didn't get it yet. I hadn't done it. And it felt very awkward. And I do tell them that. So like, I do always bring in like, here's how I felt about it. Here's what I thought about it. Here's what scared me about it. It's all ingrained in that process when I teach them about it, which is why the videos are all so long.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. You don't want to tell them either that they're gonna want to quit, and you don't want to put this idea in their mind too. So
yeah, but I do tell them like you're gonna want to quit. Actually, like that's part of it too. And that is actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because when I started coaching, I actually told myself it was going to be hard. I did tell myself that. And I was like, okay, Ruth, it's going to be hard. It's not going to happen overnight. It might take 2 years for you to like earn any income. So I came in with like this very like, I don't want like a pessimistic point of view on it. And I said, and there's going to be one day in the next 2 years that you're going to want to quit. And when I said I gave myself 2 years, I meant 2 years treating it like a business. And if at that point I wasn't earning, like $500, $1,000 a month, I would quit. And I said, so what are you going to do in that moment when you want to quit? And I'll never forget the moment I wanted to quit, actually. It was in October. And I was supposed to do my uplines. She has a call every week, and I was the guest speaker on it. I had become a diamond coach a few weeks before that. And I'll just never forget that night. I was like, I'm supposed to do this call and no one is responding to my messages. Like everyone is saying no to me right now. And it was like this huge dry spell. And I was like, I want to quit. I want to quit. And the answer was just no, keep going. Because I knew there was going to be a moment. And guess what? There's still moments like that. There's still moments like that in my business where I am like, today has been a challenge for me. There's a lot going on in my life personally this year. People don't see behind the scenes. And while my team this has been hands down my most successful year, it's also been my personally most challenging year behind the scenes that people don't see, in regards to my husband and I, like trying to get pregnant and getting off ADD meds to try and do that, and then not getting pregnant, and that entire emotional roller coaster with it. And yeah, so people don't see that stuff. And I tell this to my coaches, I don't have to show up to work anymore. And on Thursday, my paycheck is still going to be awesome. And I think that's what you have to ask yourself is like, you have to have a type of commitment where you're willing to work when your paycheck is awesome.
Yeah.
Like I still show up every single day, even though I don't actually really have to anymore. For a while, my income would absolutely sustain itself, but I still show up because I see myself as I set the pace. I'm the leader for my team, and I have a commitment to this business. And it wasn't ever just about hitting 15-star or hitting Success Club and then stopping. It is a business, and I show up to work that business because I have people who I'm helping who need my help in my challenge groups, in my coach team. And you have to ask yourself, like, you have to have the type of drive where you're still going to show up when you don't even need the money. And no matter what, I just show up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Est-ce que vous avez des questions pour Ruth, les amis?
Moi, j'en ai deux, en fait. J'ai une question particulière, en fait, parce que je trouve ça bizarre que souvent, il n'y a pas beaucoup d'hommes dans ce métier-là, ou dans cette marketing-là. Là. Fait que, like, actually, my question is basically, I want to know how come are there, like, not many men in this, like, marketing range? And then, like, I find it, like, really curious, and I wonder why. I don't know. Could you explain it, or, like, do you know why, or...
I honestly, I think men are underrepresented. And I think it's just because I think a lot of men ask the question that you just ask. And they're like, and then they just settle and decide like, well, this is a woman's industry. But this entire business, Beachbody, was built on men. Men started this business. It was a man-dominated industry. And so I don't know if you maybe are a new coach asking this too, because sometimes in Beachbody especially, they'll kind of talk about a few things in regards to like, once you start building your team, building for kind of rank versus income, which isn't actually a thing, but it is a thing behind the scenes. And so sometimes the men in this business don't get the recognition that the women get because they build their business differently. It's just as successful. It is just built differently. But one thing I will say, Jamie Fitzpatrick, top 10 coach from last year, male, he did one of my team calls. And, he had a great point. He said a majority of his clientele are women. And that's just something to remember because before Beachbody, number one, I went to find a personal trainer and I wanted a man. I wouldn't have worked with a woman personal trainer because women intimidated me. They scared me. I didn't think I was good enough to be friends with them. So like I would have never worked with a woman. So just remember that because women are your market and that's a great thing for you. And there's a lot of women who are going to be more comfortable working with a man. The second thing is, what was I going to say about man market or women's market? Oh yeah. My first Beachbody coach in 2010, when I got a free account, it was a man and I had no problem with that either. I was like reaching out to him, hoping that he would contact me. So I think especially in actually a personal, if you want to like look at this in terms of fitness, sometimes like men are given more credibility in like the personal training world. And that could really help you in this instance because, there's that stereotype, I guess, there a little bit of like personal training is more typically a man dominated field and it's changed a lot, but in general, it's kind of where
I was just curious because it's pretty funny. Sometimes the coaches, they say, hello girls. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So it's pretty funny. That's fine. I was just curious.
And I do think like people build for how they want to build. And I'm guilty of that as well. Like my market is women because that's where my passion is. Like I know the type of female I used to be and the type of woman I used to be. And I want to empower other women to, come out of that insecure place and feel empowered. So that's where I get the biggest joy. But there's plenty, man, and the UK launch was all men. There's so many men in the UK. So that was super, super cool to see that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Have d'autres questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you hear me well? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, my connection might not be good. I'm in a hotel room, so it's never always great. I would like to know if you have advice for a coach that would like to have a better first impression. I've been a coach for a little over 2 years now, but more as I wouldn't say a hobby, but I had the mindset of a growing business, but not the actions of it. So I'm kind of trying to get back into it. I use this year to really build my confidence and really find myself as a coach and knowing that I can do what I do and letting the world know. But I wanted to know if you had advice to have a good first impression, if I can say.
Do you mean kind of like on your social media in regards to like that? so one, I think like there's never, so I always tell this to people because I'm guilty of the same. Like if I don't post like maybe for like 2 days, if like I'm on vacation or something, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, like I haven't posted, like what am I supposed to say? Like everyone knows I haven't, like always remember that people don't notice as much as you notice, right? Yeah. So like we are hyper aware of our actions, but some other people aren't thinking of it as much as you are. So don't ever hold back from just going all in again, or like changing however you want to change, and just do it. And then in that, I would also say be transparent in your journey and sharing that. Like you can share. I think what you said is super powerful for people to know, saying that you want another first impression because you want to be more serious and you want to, be more consistent, or whatever the words are that you want to use in sharing that. But I think people love transparency and they respect it, and they really respect, especially someone saying like, here's what I used to do and I want to change. And so you're going to see this. And for me, whenever I use social media as a place to hold myself accountable. So like if I have a big goal, I'll put it on social media, even if it's terrifying, because then it holds me accountable to actually like pushing for that. So I'd say come out on your social media and share with them your feelings and your thoughts about it. It's going to help you. It is going to help you feel better. Have you ever like, for me, if I am like, there's even stuff right now like happening in my life, and I'm like, I need to share this on social media, because until I just share this piece of me, I'm going to feel weighed down by it. Weighed down, or like I'm not being authentic with my audience, and that to me kills my business. So I think you'll find a lot of support and almost like a life.
A rebirth. Perfect. Thank you.
That's so true. You're so natural and inspiring, Ruth. I love your honesty for all the calls, what you said, and everything you share with us. I wasn't expecting anything less than what you gave to us tonight. So thank you so much. I don't know if do you have any questions, or?
I don't have any.
It's 9, so I just want to let you go too. So thank you so much
for having me.
I can be there like 1 hour again. So thank you so much.
All right, bye guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Bye-bye.
Bye.